Good morning. This is Meg Moss, immigration attorney practicing in Northern Virginia with clients all across the country. If you want to change your court from one location to another, please listen carefully. I have a lot of requests from people that think that maybe a different court might have a better outcome for them. So they ask me if they can just change courts. Well, in general, you have to actually be living in the jurisdiction or the location of the court that is handling your case. So what that means is that if you actually move to a different location, then yes, then it would be appropriate to ask the court to change to that local court in your new location. But if you're still living in the first place and you just want to have your hearing in a different place, that's not allowed. And I would highly recommend not doing that because you can actually have some very serious problems if the court realizes that you did not update your address within 5 days of moving, or if you are actually living in a different location and you're trying to have your hearing in a different place where you're not actually living. So that's something to consider. Now, also keep in mind that changing your address with the court does not change your court location. Okay, you have to do something called a motion to change venue. That's the procedure for actually transferring your case from one court to another. Now, sometimes a judge will do this for you. Like, let's say you're in your hearing and they realize you're not living in their location. They might actually decide that they don't have the power or jurisdiction over your case and send your case to a different court. But you can also request this once you've actually moved. So again, changing your address does not change your court. Okay, separate procedure. Very important that people understand this. Now, how do you prove that you're actually living in the new jurisdiction? Because when we do this motion to change venue, we also have to include proof that you're living in the new location. So for my clients, if possible, I tell them to get their new driver's license where they've moved to. And with that, we submit that as proof of where they're actually living. If you're living with family or something like that, it might be hard for you to get a lease agreement, but that would be another possible way to show where you're actually living. And we do recommend that you handle this quickly. This is not something you want to drag out. The law is that you have to change your address within 5 days of moving. So very important that this is done quickly, and that motion to change venue, if that happens, can happen then. Now, a few other things to think about. If you want to switch courts because you heard that they do court by WebEx and you're scared to go in person to court, that's another reason I hear pretty frequently. Keep in mind that your attorney can request appearance by WebEx on video for hearings. Some judges will allow it and some won't. Some prefer it and some don't. So that's something to talk about with your attorney to make sure that if you really want to appear by WebEx and there's a reason and the judge will allow it, then that's something that can be requested. However, in general, it's just something to talk about with your attorney, because especially for individual hearings, oftentimes being in person will go a lot better. It's just a smoother format. If you have witnesses testifying for you, or if you have an interpretation situation going on, then it definitely can be easier to be in person. And some judges prefer it. Some attorneys prefer it for individual hearings also. So talk about that with your lawyer. So that's it for today. Again, changing your address doesn't change your court location. You have to actually live where you say you're living for the court. And also keep in mind that things can change. You might transfer to a different court and perhaps you get a different judge than you thought, or a different format than you thought. So don't get too tied up with a particular judge and their statistics or something, because that actually could change at the last minute, or at any point in time. You might actually be switched to a different judge anyway. So just focus on building the best case that you can and preparing yourself for court. Work with your attorney closely, and no matter what court you're in, hopefully you'll get a fair hearing, and your attorney will be able to guide you through the process to have the best possible outcome. As always, if you have questions or concerns, feel free to call or text me anytime. Have a great day.